Spoiler alert if you've not seen episodes 12 to 14. But oh my god, I was not expecting it to be the grandma. I was not expecting it at all, which is funny because they do kind of mention it in the previous episodes that Yoongi isn't her grandchild. So I guess I should have seen that coming, but I don't know. It wasn't clear enough to me because she seemed so nice, right? Oh my god, I was not expecting that. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Dramasology Podcast. This episode covers a review of Reborn Rich, episodes 12 to 14, starring Song Joong-ki, Sung-min and Shin Hyun-bin. I have to say that I'm going to really miss Jin Yang-cheol's character. The character of the grandfather was actually very interesting to watch, and the dynamic and chemistry he had with Jin Do-jun was very nice. And I can see that Jin Do-jun came to care for his grandfather, even though he's not technically his grandfather, but he has come with all the years he spent with him, he has come to love and respect his grandfather. And so him having tears in his eyes or crying about the fact that his grandfather is dead it made sense, and it's almost like Jin Do-jun's character has come full circle in a way. But yeah, it's sad to see the character go, but it also means that there's nothing standing in Jin Do-jun's way of taking revenge now. In this past 3 episodes as well, we were introduced to the daughter of Dong-gi, the second uncle. And I think it's important that she's introduced now because I think she has a hand in killing Hyun-woo in his old life. So it makes sense that she's being brought back in the second life as well. Because else, our character is almost irrelevant to the plot currently. She's not necessary in any way, so there was no reason for them to bring her back. I was wondering when they would. And I think I mistook her for the daughter-in-law in episode 1. But no, she's the grandchild, the only grandchild of Jin Yang-cheol, and I think she's the one that has a hand in it. It's a shame because she's also very smart. The women in this drama are very, very smart. Well, actually, no, I shouldn't say that because Hwa Young and Shin Hyun-bin are not they're not very impressive. Or should I just say Hwa Young? Don't let me say Shin Hyun-bin's character isn't, because Sung-min Young's character is considered smart. It's just that she doesn't resonate with me. But yeah, every female character in this drama is quite good, in that if the men would just listen to them, I feel like a lot of problems would be solved. But yeah, so she's probably the one that has something to do with the death of Hyun-woo in the first life, and Jin Do-jun is most likely going to take revenge on her in this second life. But yeah, they really dragged out this Jin Sung-jun red herring. I really thought it was him. I don't know, but even in the board meeting, I still thought it was him. And I have to mention about the board meeting because that's where we find out that Secretary Lee is basically betraying Jin Yang-cheol and Jin Do-jun, which is unfortunate because I was even going to say that, you know what, maybe the way they'll end this drama is that they'll say, okay, Secretary Lee should be CEO in place of Jin Do-jun because it's a solution that is that's a solution the drama could take, because I feel like they do that often in a lot of dramas like this. The end of the revenge typically is that the lead character actually does not take up the position. But that's what I was thinking, and then they showed that he basically betrayed Jin Yang-cheol and Jin Do-jun, and I'm like, what? Because it was so out of character for him, I have to say. I don't care what anybody says, but his character up to that point was very devoted, and I could see it in the way he acted with Jin Yang-cheol. He was very devoted to Jin Yang-cheol. But I guess I understand, greed is like a cancer. It's slowly eats away at you. So even though I do believe that he was on Jin Yang-cheol's side when he was alive, once he died, I guess Secretary Lee saw no point in remaining loyal and still remaining the underdog, or the help, the farmer, basically, of Sun Yang Group. So he wanted a peace as well. But still, it was very sad to see, because that also explains how Jin Sung-jun knew his grandfather was sick. It was Jin Yang-cheol it was Secretary Lee that was basically feeding him information the whole time, which is so unfortunate. Oh my god, I really like this character because he was one person that I was sure was on the side of Jin Yang-cheol, but I guess not now. So I'm kind of happy what happened to him happened, because it was unfortunate and I really hated him for a second there. But I'm glad he also made his comeback by being honest and giving Jin Do-jun the slush fund, because otherwise I was going to hate him for the rest of like this whole drama. But yeah, that was an unfortunate end to his character. But I guess that's necessary. Like, that plot is like necessary in a way, I guess. I wish it wasn't. I would have liked to see him remain on Jin Do-jun's side. But yeah, the biggest reveal of episode 12 was that the grandma is the one that caused the accident. She was the instigator that caused the accident for Jin Do-jun and Jin Hyun-chul. I was not expecting that at all. Mainly because they showed her to be such a nice person. And it wasn't, I guess, until last minute that they mentioned that Yoongi wasn't her child. And even when they mentioned that, I still did not get the sense that she hated Yoongi, you know. But now that I think about it, actually maybe it makes sense. Yoongi is not like the firstborn or anything. He's the lastborn. So, like, the grandfather, Jin Hyun-chul, had to have cheated on his wife at some point, you know, in their relationship. So actually, I understand why she's pissed and why she's against Jin Do-jun being the one to inherit Sunyan Group, because not only is Jin Do-jun the child of the one born out of wedlock, the child that she had taken and basically raised like her own, even though it wasn't. Which I understand, that's a very painful feeling. But like everybody else, she has the option to divorce. But I guess she would not have wanted something like that, right? In that world, I guess you don't get divorced and that kind of thing. But yeah, our character probably felt like, definitely no, there's no way I'm going to let Jin Do-jun, the child of a bastard, take over everything I have worked for. And like, you have to think of how she felt, given that her own son, the eldest uncle, went to jail at some point for Sunyan Group, right? So like, this is not, he in a way, they do deserve a portion, like they deserve the biggest portion of Sunyan Group. It's just that for sure they will not be able to manage it well, and every work and all the work that Jin Hyun-chul has put into the company will be lost. But still, I understand where she's coming from, but I was not expecting it to be her, honestly. And I have to give it up to the actress that plays the grandmother. And she actually looks like a proper psychopath. Like, I believe she's Jin Sung-jun's grandma. Because there's some scenes where I'm looking at her, I'm like, is this the same lady? The same sweet lady that was, like, in the first few episodes? Like, in the earlier episodes? Because she actually looks like she could kill someone with her eyes. So it was interesting to see that change in her and see how she obviously bottled up so much over the years. And I was even more shocked. Not just because she turned out to be a character that was capable of such a thing, but also because our son, the eldest uncle, turned out to be a character that was not willing to let it go. Like, I thought when the eldest son found out that he was going to be okay with it, that, oh yeah, she instigated the accident and everything, but he was actually the one that said, no, that's not right, you don't just do something like that. And again, it brings back the point that the eldest son, like the eldest uncle, is actually a very good person, because he wasn't willing to accept that his mother just killed his dad like that. And I have to like give it up to that character. Like, it's a well-written character because he isn't particularly greedy. Yeah, he thinks that Sun-yang should go to the eldest son and all those things, but he is not one that throws away his morals. In fact, all the kids are not ones to throw away the morals, which is why Young was crying that, you know, it's like the dad doesn't trust them, right? And like, actually, they're all very good children. Like, not once do they actually plot something bad to happen to their dad, right? So I have to give it up to them in that regard, right? For all the incompetence they have, they actually are good people to their own family members, right? They would never try and kill their dad, which I was shocked by. I thought the elder son would be like, okay, yeah, it's fine, I'll like just keep quiet, I'll undo this and that kind of. No, he actually spoke to Sung-min Young and told her, if you want the evidence, it's with Jin Do-jun. Right. And I don't know why Sung-min Young she's like shocked that Jin Do-jun wants to keep everything a secret. Like, it's his grandma. He's not going to be the first one to say that his grandma killed his grandfather. Like, that's bad for business, right? I do have to say that the most interesting thing I took from that episode 13 was that moment when Jin Do-jun is basically begging Sung-min Young that she should understand why he can't put his grandmother on trial and why he can't let her prosecute the grandma. And Sung-min Young says something interesting as she ends the relationship, of course. And she says something interesting. She says that No, he says that, oh, it will never happen again, that he will never do such a thing again. And then she says, no, you're going to get worse. You're going to get even more like them because you want to keep what you have. And that was, I think, the culmination of the whole, like, that was the moment for me that I was like, oh my God, this drama was just worth it. Because it's true. You know, I mentioned this in the first few reviews I did for Reborn Rich, that I never understood why Hyun-woo, Jin Do-jun's character, was so adamant in getting revenge against Sunyang Group for what happened to his mom, or what happens to like people that invest in Sunyang Group and then find out that, you know, their investment went belly up. Like, I never understood that fact, because that's how business is run, right? They are like, you're not supposed to trust in business. You're not supposed to put your money. It's not Disney. Like, that's a bad analogy, because Disney is also a corporation, but it's not like a play thing. Like, this is something that they are not beholden to you to give you, like, to produce good results for you. If stocks go bad, that's your fault, because you're not supposed to put money in stocks, right? Yeah, I mean, that's what you're supposed to do, but at the same time, it's still a volatile thing, right? So you're not supposed to blame the company that, why did they fail, or why did they do this, or why did this business decision lead to that? Like, it's not the point of stocks. That's why you're not supposed to invest in stocks. So I never understood that part of Jin Do-jun, when he is pissed that basically Sunyang Group is doing what they did, or rich people are doing what they do. You're not supposed to trust rich people, because again, that's how capitalism works. And so his whole thing was that, okay, he's going to take over Sunyang Group and I guess do better, because these people that are in there don't deserve to be the heads of the company. The issue with that is that it's like this poor to rich paradox, right? Or it's a paradox where Sung Young is right. He'll get worse, because that's the power of greed. That's what greed does to you. It's like a cancer that eats away at your morals and empathy, right? Money and power becomes your god. And slowly, Jin Do-jun will become exactly like Jin Yancho. Because I'm sure 100% that Jin Yancho did not start one day and say, you know, money is king. You know, you remember the first few episodes, or the few episodes before, he says that in like this corridor where they are. And he says, money, like, you can only trust money, or you can, like, he says in such a way that lacks empathy for the people that have invested in their whole life savings into his company. But Jin Yancho definitely did not start that way. You know, back when he was a mechanic or whatever they said he used to do back like 50 years ago when he first started the company. He wasn't like that then. It's slowly and slowly that he becomes that person that puts his company above everything. That's why he can look his son in the eye and tell him, like, I mean, they never should, but he can allow his own son to go to jail for the company, right? It's that power, it's that money, like, it becomes your god. And that's slowly what's happening to Jin Do-jun, right? Slowly and slowly he's compromising for money. And I guess that's not, like, I enjoy watching that, because it makes him an anti-hero, not the hero, right? Because all the things he claims that he's fighting for, he will begin to do them. And actually, I know I keep mentioning this, but it also reminds me of why Mo Hyun-min would have been the perfect partner for him, because she would not have given an F. Like, she would have been in there with him, being the terrible person that he's obviously going to become at some point. So yeah, that was the most interesting part of episode 13. That moment where she says that, and I'm like, yes, that's really the point of this drama, because for all he's doing, he's still going to become exactly like them. But yeah, that's really it for me, like, on that Jin Do-jun character arc. Like, his character is evolving as a person, and his character development is actually going, like, it's called character development, but his character is actually going downhill. I don't know if there's a name for that. But yeah, I do have to mention one thing I found funny about this drama, or this past 3 episodes, is that there's a moment when Mo Hyun-min and Ji Sung-jun are talking in their bedroom, and Mo Hyun-min brings out like a pregnancy test kit, right, and shows it to Ji Sung-jun that, oh, she's pregnant. And I just remember thinking, oh, I guess they have sex. Because it's funny, I just never imagined that they do, because of all the snacky remarks that they keep making to each other. And I can't visualize it in my head just because of how they act, but I guess they do. But it was just funny to see, because it was just out of place for me for a second. I was like, wait, what? they're having sex. Why? But, I'm sure it's for the duty and, the duty of family and continuing your family line. So, yeah, I understand. But still, it was very odd for me to see. Aside from that, the only other thing I noticed about this episode was that Jin Do-jung at some point brings out a box that he wanted to have proposed with Sung-min with. And I'm thinking, like, he had a ring that he wanted to propose with Sung-min too. Like, and I was thinking, wait, did their relation get to that point? Their relationship never got to that point to me, where it was time to propose. That's the issue with like pacing romance in this drama. They're not doing it very well. It's like she's there just because they have to show on romance, which is unfortunate because I feel like they could have had the romance of Mo Hyun-min and just left it at that. So like that is a romance that doesn't go anywhere. But like, I don't know, the only good thing she ever said is what I mentioned, where she tells him that he will keep getting worse. But other than that, like, they never got in their relationship to that point where it was worth marriage. I don't know. That's like everything about that romantic plot is just weird. But yeah, that's what I noticed. When I saw the ring, I started laughing because I was like, what? It was just as out of nowhere as the pregnancy kit that Mo Hyun-min brought out in bedroom when she was talking to Ji Sung-jun. But yeah, that's, I think, all the things I noticed about that's my review for episodes 12 to 14 of Reborn Rich. Thank you guys so much for listening. I invite you guys to, rate me on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and, leave me a comment if you have any on facebook.com/Dramasology or on Twitter @Dramasology. You can check out my website for all the episodes and all my social media links. My website is dramasology.com. Yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.